Hello everyone, it's Nono here. I recently started asking for questions from readers and listeners. These are questions that I will try to answer on future episodes of the podcast that you can send in the form of voice notes by recording yourself at gettingsimple.com/ask, that's ASK, or in written form at gettingsimple.com/contact. I'm welcoming questions about the way I live, the way I do things, and questions related to the topics that I cover in my writing and in the podcast. If you have any questions, go ahead and hit record. I would love to hear from you. Today, I'd like to reply to a question by Tokoso Kambule. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right, from South Africa. His question is, during your commute, do you prefer to listen to music or to podcasts, and why? So it's funny because when I read this question, I remembered a 2014 post that I published on Nonodogma. The title was Podcasts, Not Music. And at that time, I was probably living in Spain, I think. And I had the habit of going for runs and trying to disconnect from work. I was doing my final master's thesis in architecture. This is published on March 23rd, 2014. And you can see it if you go to my archive on the blog and look for podcasts, not music. Something that I said here is that music is great. I love music. Music helps to unplug from everything else, setting us up on a mood. And at the same time, it lets us focus totally on something we need to do, ignoring what is around us. Music plays as the soundtrack of our lives. On the other side are podcasts. They have their own content, which usually needs a bit of attention. In moments when the activity we have to do or perform does not involve a lot of thinking or concentration, podcasts are the way to expand your frontiers and acquire knowledge or just be entertained. Language courses, coding classes, news, technology courses, traveling guides, anything. In the iTunes store, there is an incredible amount of podcasts offered for free. Audible books or iTunes University work as well. And there is no advertisement here for iTunes or anything. This is just exactly what I wrote back in 2014. I'm recommending you to consume podcasts. I do while I run, while I walk from one place to another, or when I travel. I'm tired of the same music over and over. Personally, I've listened to numerous podcasts, from mobile coding to news, web design, or marketing, and they have been pretty useful. In fact, I still do every week. Podcasts give us a chance to better use the time in which we can be productive. Imagine you're on the street and you have to walk for 30 minutes. Surely you can read a book and walk at the same time, but you can listen to an audiobook or a 20-minute podcast. It's a way to take advantage of your time. The hard part is probably finding something that makes you itch in the vast amount of podcasts that exist. But you should try. Improve your English, learn stuff, or listen to whatever calls your attention. Leave music for later. All right, I intended to look for that post and it's good that I found it. I would say I feel or I think really similarly today. This is 2020. I'm recording this on November 19th. And I had some thoughts written down here. Why not only music by default? My take is that songs are something that you can listen to many, many times, and they, in some way, they fade away. So you never know, unless you only listen to a song once or not always in the same setting, you're going to get a bit lost on the track of when and why or what are you listening to. There are many words and many things that you're actually processing on the songs, and different languages also. But there's music like music to relax, meditation chimes, and other sounds that maybe even help you concentrate, focus, or do meditation. And I don't see anything wrong with that. When you have to do cognitive thinking, when you have to do work that requires you to think and focus on something else. Talking about meditation chimes and guided meditation, I discovered Oak. Actually, Adam Menges recommended this 2 years ago, and I've been using it a lot. But I believe that after you've done unguided meditation for a while, you're able to just go and do meditation without any music or any sounds. But it many times helps relax a bit better and meditate a bit more deeply. I would say my take on why to listen to podcasts is because it actually provides you with learning content, or at least something else that you're getting. A song might change your mood, might help you cheer you up, might put you in the mood to focus or to party or to do something else. But podcasts, audiobooks, maybe reading 20 or 15-minute book summaries on Blinkist, listening to them or reading them, or even listening to lectures and tutorials, those are things that are going to enrich your personality, I think. I think like learning from different perspectives and also seeing what other people think about things and maybe asking yourself those questions as well is helpful. Sometimes I will just do nothing. I'll try to actually do nothing. And for that, the best thing is not wearing headphones, not listening to podcasts, not watching anything, and not even reading or listening to music. What you can wear are earplugs. You go into complete silence. There's nothing that distracts you if the earplugs are good and there's not a lot of surrounding environment noise. Doing nothing, which at the end of the day is sort of a moment of solitude, I think it's also really, really enriching. Cal Newport praises meditative walks, and he highlights the importance of being by yourself, and not only by yourself as in I'm alone at home or I'm walking alone, but also being alone with your thoughts. And that implies that you're not following the lyrics of a song, you're not reading anything, you're not listening to any podcasts or any audio, and you are confronting or enjoying the things that pass through your brain. Thoughts, ideas, struggles. And many times we try to just binge watch shows on Netflix and listen to podcasts and read and listen to music. And we never really stop. We never stop and do nothing and find times of solitude. And I think that's really important. Another anecdote that I will share is the association of once in a lifetime audios, as I call them. It might be short form podcasts or long form or classes or tutorials or whatever. But I've experienced this when traveling or living in many places. For example, wandering around the streets of Tokyo, Japan, or living in Australia, Sydney. How does that happen? Well, at least for me, I associate the time when I was listening to a podcast episode, let's say a Tim Ferriss episode or something of like website programming or interviews to entrepreneurs or even Harry Slowly or Cal Newport's podcast or lectures on iTunes University that I was watching when I was learning how to code applications for iPhone and iPad. What happens with those once in a lifetime audios is that your brain associates those sounds and the experience that you had and the imagination, the things that you were imagining while you were listening, to specific moments in your time, spatially, so exactly where you were walking through, what corridor, what room, what place, the feelings that you had at that moment, and that sticks with you. It's like a memory written in stone, because usually you wouldn't listen to an audiobook or to a podcast episode or to a lecture more than once. You've gone through it, you know more or less what it says, and that's it. But that's really weird, because with songs, we do that all the time. We like a song, it's a 3-minute clip, and we play it, and then play it again, and then play it again, and then play it again. And then we know the lyrics so well that it's crazy. And actually, you will be surprised how well our brain learns things like a movie transcript or like the script. If you just watch it once or twice, your brain memorizes it really well, because there's sound, there's context, there is hints on what the characters are going to say. So with that, I come to say audiobooks, podcasts, and other material that you will only listen or watch once really tie you to the moment. And this is something similar to when you go to the movies and in the cinema, you won't go to the movies and watch the same movie twice, I think. That's a bit weird, unless you're going with a different friend or you're just like a movie so much that you will repeat and go again. And we tend to remember those. We tend to remember who we watched the movie with, where we were, how old we were, why did we go to that movie. Were we eating something? Were we invited by somebody? Those things tie your memory to the moment. All right. So I would say that this is my take. I did listen to podcasts a lot, or maybe engaged in phone calls while I was living in Boston. I had a 45 to 60-minute commute every day, and I found it really joyful to use that moment as a productive moment where I can be with any of these things, right? I can be listening to music, I can be listening to podcasts and maybe learning or understanding new things. I can be listening to meditation music and actually meditating and try to start my day in a more calm state. I could be wearing earplugs. That's something I have never done on the subway, on the T in Boston. I would probably do that on a plane or in a long distance train. And you can also be reading a book on Kindle, a magazine or something. But the one I like the most, and this goes a bit with meditation, is doing nothing. Being with yourself and being comfortable about saying, okay, I have these 15 or 20 or 30 minutes of commute for myself, and I'm going to enjoy them. I'm going to listen to what ideas are passing through my mind and try to process them and understand them. So yeah, I would say that's what I will do if I have to choose. And what I really, really, really miss is actually that time. The time when you're commuting, it's a really personal time. It builds into your daily routine, and you have a really structured day when you know you're going to spend those 30 minutes going, 30 minutes coming back. But I don't have that now. I work from home, I work from where I live, and that time has been suppressed. And it didn't look like such a big time waster at the end of the day. It seems like my day has the same amount of hours and I can do the same amount of thinking. I don't have more bandwidth for being here. Of course, I don't need to worry about going to the T or looking for parking or doing anything. But I found that when I do have to commute, I really enjoy having that space to either think and not do anything with the computer and not engage in anything that has to do with a screen or doing anything with your hands. And I can focus on maybe talking on the phone to someone that I haven't talked to for a while, maybe catch up with a friend, or maybe listen to a podcast or an audiobook and, enjoy that moment. I think podcasts or audiobooks are also compatible with friends or your partner or your family if you're doing a travel trip or you're at home and you have similar likes and you find an episode that might be something that you both enjoy. But I think for that, music is a lot more compatible. Either silence, where you can be talking to the other, or music that you share tastes and maybe have the playlist that you both like. And it's easy to do that. But, I have friends that find podcasts that they enjoy listening to, and that's one of the things they do while they're at home, and they just play podcasts out loud and everyone's listening to them and learning from them. That's my take. Podcasts probably better than music, solitude better than anything, and that's it. Again, hopefully I pronounce your name right. Ntokozo Kambule. And lastly, I'll ask you, what do you do? I'd love to know about it. Send me a voice note by going to gettingsimple.com/voice and click the appropriate button, or maybe just ask a different question. I'll be happy to reply it here. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next time.